grace us with her presence. I think I can get whether she'll see that or not, because she is in the kitchen at the minute. She's not a slave to gender stereotypes. She's just making tea. Okie dokie. Uh, my left earphone has just died, which is odd, but there it is. Um, no topic, Said. No topic. This is the purpose of the social. It is. It is to um, hang out, to get to know one another. For those that know each other, great. For those that don't know each other, ideal. You know, if a particular topic, uh, I should probably start recording this. Um, if a particular topic um, evolves as a matter of a requirement, c'est la vie. If it is that you guys have questions on the specificities of what it is that I'm going to do with the school and how you can join in if you want to, or if there's any technical parts of it that, you've not really played with the format that much, I'm still learning about its intricacies myself. I don't know. In terms of specifics, I wanted it more to be geared by just a place to get to know one another. That's the antisocial part of social media. We can't all live vicariously through profile pics and whatnot. So to have an option where we can all chat and get involved. And that's why I set it as weekly because poor Brett's in Australia, so it's going to be 4:30 in the morning for him. There's some people in Canada, there's some people in Turkey. There's people scattered all over the place. So to have a kind of what's the best word that I need? A kind of a sticking point that we can all kind of base this element on magic. There's going to be enough time for um, memory techniques and the logic and critical thinking, rationale and situational awareness and protective elements, that all of the stuff that go along with memory training. There's going to be plenty of time to explore that as we go. Um, so yeah, I wanted something a little less formal. Lord knows I don't need any more less formal in my life. I think if I get any less formal, I'll be out of a job. Um, some people have been to Turkey and not. Yeah, absolutely. Um, so I mean, Joe, I don't get to see you other than on a Sunday, mate. So
No.
how how you doing? First of all, like how's the week treating you? How's the testimonials going? How's the whole
Yes.
development of that area going? I mean, if you don't want to talk about it,
Oh no,
don't.
no, I'm good to
It's up
talk
to you.
about it. So, hello to say to I just saw your message and special guest Maddie. Hi. Yeah, things are going good. So
Good.
just brief. I mean, this isn't going to be like released to the entire universe, is it? Otherwise, I could no. It's just like me.
No, no. Well, just as a side note, my intention with these is for those that can't make these. I'm going to stick them in there as a course element that you can go through. So it will be Cerebral Social, 18th of April. Here's kind of what we spoke about. There's the video if you want it.
Of course. I'll just give you a little bit of brief because
Yeah, do mate.
I'm going to be around in the school, so people want to get to know me in some form anyway.
Yeah.
Considering a little bit on the very niche side of all the things you can do. Yeah. So what's happened is I've got like the skill set to like help people improve improve their abilities and get them past their blocks. And it's just like, well, if someone needs
Hmm.
to work on memory palaces or work past the why they're feeling anxious or procrastinating. I'm like, might as well leverage these skills and help people. So if anyone's interested, the door's open. I think everyone wins from this, and obviously let people know about
Absolutely.
it because the more people that know, the more people I can help. So that's where I am with that. I'm kind of like at that threshold where like I've got the skills now. I need to do stuff.
Hey, Sarah, Alexandra's here. Woo!
Hello, hi. How are you?
Are you good? I'm good, mate. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good, thanks. Good to see you.
Fabulous.
Thank you.
Good to see you as well. Good to see you as well. Outside of our regularly scheduled programming. Um, yeah. So just to kind of, we've got Joe, who you may or may not be aware of. Um,
I
Saeed.
know.
His face doesn't normally look like words, and
Hi, Faith.
that's
And hi, special
and
guest.
a special guest is my wife, Maddie.
Oh, okay.
She's currently cooking up a storm in the kitchen at the minute. We were just talking about Joe. Joe is also a hypnotist, much like yourself.
Mhm.
So we were just talking about Joe's practices and developments and the things he's doing to help people and that whole area really. Um, is it special guest because of the last year's memory set?
It is, yes.
Yes.
I totally didn't realize that that was what it was set to, so I do apologize. I'm not trying to be someone that I'm not. But Joe, like I was just listening to that about you, about the whole procrastination thing, and like I'm the queen of procrastination, and I would rather do anything than the task that I should be doing. So that would be an amazing thing for me to stop me procrastinating so much.
I would love to help if you won't mind, as long as you don't procrastinate on getting me a testimonial. Then once you get everything you want, then yeah, this can work out. Yeah,
It's a deal. It's a deal.
sounds good.
Nice. And I never thought like within the first couple of minutes I'd be setting my wife up with another man. I mean, when there's never seen.
Oh, you're gonna love this. Marcus is gonna hate me. But it's like the first time I met Marcus's girlfriend, I actually got her number before I got Marcus's.
I think you might both appreciate and hate that in equal measure, maybe.
Yeah. No, no, I mean, both of them are absolutely lovely. So I always treat them with, absolute, respect and, give them a big hug, both of them.
Well, as much as anyone can treat Marcus with respect. Absolute scumbag. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Um, but yeah, just if for those that don't know, Saeed's comment about last year's memory session, we did an actual game of. I think I may have ran one with you as well, Joe. To be honest, we did
Yeah.
a game of I literally just told you. Which are you aware of the game, Alexandra? Okay, so it's on British TV, presented by Jimmy Carr, and the whole premise of the game show is that they ask questions on things that have just happened. So like when they're introducing each of the guests, like this is Ben, he's this. This is Maddie, she's this, and this is Saeed, this is and they'll introduce everyone and give a bit about each other, and then oh, stand by, Julie's here. Um, and then the questions come on like how old did they say Ben was, and how many pets has Joe had in his whole life, these kinds of questions. And we're in this session, and it was geared towards memory and deduction as a practical game. And there was maybe, oh, salut Julie. Um,
Salut, Ben.
um, the whole session was like a series of videos and photos, and poor Maddie is in the background kind of typing questions about things that people have said and what callbacks and all of this type of thing, and the end game was to try and figure out who the special guest was, because there was been leaked information about everything and everyone up until that stage. Yeah, have you not been on Zoom since that time, my love?
No, I don't think no. Well, I have for work, but because I've logged in on my work email, it just comes up as my name. So I just automatically assumed that it would be my name. Like my photo's on there. Does it have my face on there?
Yeah, we got your face. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that's okay. So it's just this anonymous orange-haired person. Yeah, that's why.
That's it. But yeah. Julie, the things that we've spoke about up until this moment, we've kind of introduced everyone. But in terms of you don't know everyone that's here. Is that right, Julie?
That's right. I know
Okay.
Maddie. I don't
Yeah.
know Joe. Alexandra, I think I've heard, or no, I read her. And let me look. Who else is here? Okay. I know
You should know
myself.
Saeed.
I know you. Joe, I don't. Alexandra, I've heard. I think you did videos with her. Is that right?
With Alexander? No.
Okay,
No.
so that's not say it. I know he told me he was not gonna be on screen, and special guest. Well, that's Maddie. So so far it's just Joe and Alexander.
I mean, I don't want it to be awkward. So, guys, if you want to introduce yourself, do it. These things are going to be a kind of social affair where the topics will just kind of evolve as we talk. But that's my main goal is for those that don't
Okay.
know each other to get to know one another. That's
Well,
the point of a social.
today I won't speak first for a change.
Don't worry, I took that role, so it's fine. This smile is terrifying, so be scared. Oh yeah, just a little bit about me. So I've known Ben for a couple of years. I've been in one particular group. I haven't had the opportunities of going across all the different groups, but I'm part of the Discord side of things. So feel free to say hi and stuff. Occasionally, I may pop in, make a lot of noise, and then disappear for a couple of weeks, and then make some more noise. So it'll be like lots of activity and then silence for a little while. It's my usual pattern, so don't think anything of it. So that's a little bit about me.
Thanks, mate.
May I ask a question to you?
You can. Doesn't mean I'm going to answer. Go on. Go.
Okay. What do you do for a living? What's your job related to what we do?
Oh, yes. So basically, hypnotherapist, coach. So in that sphere of things, usually I'm working with people who have got anxiety, but I will help with anything within that range. So all good.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Yes. I believe I'm not the only hypnotist on this call, so there's going to be quite a few interesting conversations to be had around.
Thanks.
Hi, Julie. I'm Alexandra. I'm a consultant child and adolescent psychiatrist, and I'm a hypnotist.
Okay. Thanks.
And you both speak French. Alexandra is fluent.
Oh, Alexandra, tu parles français?
Français, tout à fait.
Oh mon Dieu, que ça fait du bien. Oh, j'adore ça. Merci. On va pouvoir enseigner à Ben de parler mieux. Moi, je parle français, anglais. So, il peut pratiquer. Alors, on va être deux. Merci beaucoup,
Oh,
Alexandra.
parfait. J'adore ça. Said, calm down. Calm down. We're too far ahead of Said. Too far ahead.
He speaks
Said,
to me. Wait. He speaks to me in French. You
Oh, does
didn't
he?
know that? Oh, yes,
I
he
didn't know that.
does.
I didn't know
No, I just snitch on him.
Well, but to your question before, Julie, there's not a specific topic
Okay.
that we're looking at. I wanted it more to just be a social affair. So if it is that there is anything on anybody's minds, let's get into it. I realize there will be a lot of things on their minds, but I can't necessarily comment on what you should have for tea later on this evening. I mean That's entirely up to you. Um, but if it's of a mnemonic practice, or the practices that are connected to it, let's get into it. Let's get into it. I wanted it to just be more of as I say, chat, social. Like the six of us were just hanging out, and someone was like, "Oh, I was looking into this. Yeah, let's do this. I'll start it off." So yes, yesterday's video that I posted from the 100-day mental upgrade was about um, memory as a way of self-protection.
Hmm.
And some of the examples that I gave were around attention and awareness and situational awareness. But one of the things that I gave an example of, which, given it was made for short form, wasn't that in depth, was in remembering the content of what it is that somebody's talking about, so that next time it's brought up, we have a possibility of checking for inaccuracies, or congruency, and oh, she's here. um, but so, has anybody had any experience with that? Because I know there is a buttload of pseudoscience and nonsense within the realm of lie detection and that type of affair. There's a whole lot of rubbish, and the amount of lies I've caught simply because I remember what was said last time and it's different this time. That's like the only way I would have spotted these things in that approach. So what if anything has been your guys' experience of that? You know, different stories around the same topic.
For me, it's congruency. I find that quite interesting when that's happening. I've actually been accused of by one particular friend, this was years ago, of telling different stories, and it's like no, or at least like changing the sequence of events. But it's like the way you actually how do you put it? Emphasize a part of the story will basically determine what details you really focus on.
Mm.
But yeah, when you mentioned like adding the details, I'm just kind of wondering how do you do that in like live? Just like just being able to absorb all of that in such like because it's a lot. I mean,
Yeah,
giving us a video and then just going, okay, watch it for 20 seconds, memorize it is very different to like following a 20-minute
totally,
conversation.
totally, totally. So I mean, there are a few practices that I like about that. One, surprisingly influenced by Stoicism. That's when everyone goes, "Ugh, God, he's here again. Shut up about your Stoics, Benjo." But one of the things that I liked to do was to do like a daily recall, and so before I get into bed, um, I would sit and I would think about, okay, I spoke to this person first. We spoke about this. They were wearing this. They seemed stressed because of this. Just a brief few points, and I run that over my day. And when it got to the stage of the daily recall, I'm like, okay, it takes about 30 minutes. I'm like, that's a lot of detail. So maybe I just pick on one particular thing, and it would be whatever emotion came across from whoever it was that I was speaking to, and I just kind of hammer that. But much like anything else, your ability to be aware of a lot of information over a period of time is matched by how much you train it. So if it is that you're watching a however many minute video or movie or TV show or whatever it is, there will be some parts of that you skip over when telling the story because there were these big standout moments of emotional significance, or for me, big action scene. I'm like, oh, look at this explosion and this car crash, and forget about the little nuances in the earlier moments. Um, but it's like your cognitive load is analogous to like a physical mastery. You can only run for so long before you need to relax, recover, and then the next time you might run a little bit further. the same is said here. So if it is that you want, information from your day, you got to start by taking stock of it. You do your daily recall. You can go, I didn't get much from this interaction. I got a lot from this interaction. I got everything from this TV show. So what was it about this conversation where you can go, maybe I wasn't paying enough attention. Maybe it was in a different language. Maybe it was, whatever it was that stopped you from connecting, and it gives you sticking points that you can lean into for your training, because training, in my opinion, and only my opinion, should be a little bit uncomfortable. A little bit, not massively uncomfortable, to the point where you go, fuck, I'm never doing that again. But just test you a little bit each time, just a little bit. So that's some of the ways I would look at it. Julie, for the love of God, please don't start putting your hand up. If you wanna jump in, just jump in. Like let's do that. Me, please, pick me.
Joe just said something that just triggered me so much. He said he was accused, okay, of something. And when you're accused of something, and the only thing you have is, memories, the word of the other toward yours, no witnesses, you have basically nothing. The best liar might win. The best liar maybe is going to make you win when you're guilty. Okay? This happened to me. And as you looked at me, you saw nothing, haven't you? Bob saw nothing too. Yeah. There's a good reason why for that. It happened to me. I was accused of something. I was accused of beating the crap out of someone, but I had the presence of mind my phone is too far, to put my phone here and tape it. That's the reason, because as you know, Joe doesn't know, Alexandra doesn't know. So Alexandra, t'es pas au courant, but I knew from a very young age, well, since phones exist, that if you can tape something while hiding your phone, because small cameras didn't exist back then, I did tape it. So when they accused me, everything was dropped. And he was accused of false allegation. So that's the reason why nothing exists. Okay? So I know how you feel, because they arrested me at first before they took my phone, and make sure it was not like not Photoshop, but a fake scenario of I faked it, and it was not real. So they gave it to like RMCP, and they realized, no, it's real. And I was let go a few hours later. So I know exactly how shitty, sorry, that's my language, how you feel when you get arrested for absolutely nothing. Nothing at all. So, but you have no proof. It's not because you profile. It's not because you know graphology. It's not because you're a therapist. It's not because whatever the job you do, if you have no, real evidence that you can show that you're going to get out of it. You can get out of it with a good liar, because we saw it so many times. I don't need to talk to you about OJ. I don't need to talk to you about Casey Anthony. You know that. But I taped it. I still have it. And he got caught. He got caught lying. So he had a fine to pay. He went to jail. Yeah. And I was free as a bird. So, and it can happen to anyone. Yeah. Anyone. So what Joe just said, I relate to that.
Yeah.
So just keep in mind, you think you're free. And I spoke to a therapist one time who was so scared of a client, and he had no proof because in their offices, they cannot tape, they cannot record, they can't do anything. So, what helped him was that the client was known to do that. So it
I
was
see.
okay. So that's just something I wanted to add to it. So that's why I have nothing. I didn't do anything. He did. So the prosecution was kind enough not to put it in any file, but his name.
Wow. Wow.
So yeah, I just wanted to add it. When he said that, I was like, oh, I went through that. So now you know.
Oh, I get you.
Now you
I've
know.
got Julie, with what you were saying. It's sort of a similar. I've got kind of a similar thing. I don't know how much Ben's told you about what I do for a job, but I work for the ambulance service, and I struggle with people who are talking and talking and talking and giving me lots of background, and I have to pay attention to everything that they're saying, and basically if I don't write it down, then it never happened.
Yeah.
So I've got to constantly be keeping up with what they're telling me, what they're doing, like what the situation is, what I've been doing, and having to keep up with things that change, because inevitably what they tell me at the start of it isn't what they tell me at the end, and then I have to pass that information on to the hospital and everything else. So there's been a couple of times where people have said things to me and I've thought, oh God, I need to make a note of that, I need to remember that, and then I haven't written it down, and then it's come out like, oh well, such and such said this. I'm like, oh no, did they? I can't remember. That's
Yeah.
one of the biggest things why I wanted to get involved with you guys, was because my memory is not the best, and my attention span is also not the best. So especially this one that Ben was just talking about, in terms of like memory under pressure and like taking on lots of information in a very short space of time, that was really applicable to me, because it's not only to do with the care that I can give the patient in the most appropriate way, but it's also how it affects things going on once they've left me as well. So it's, because we've got so much paperwork and like all that kind of thing to fill in. If I forget anything, or if I don't write down anything that's significant, then that's on me and my head.
But Maddie, to be honest with you, it did that to me one time before.
Yeah.
And the cops in Quebec were kind enough or brilliant enough to believe me. And then I spoke to a very high level investigator. It's a lieutenant or some close to a chief. He was my first boyfriend. I'm still friends with him. And I called him. I said, help me. What am I going to do with this? He said, I know you. You will go back to him just to test him. He will do it again. This time, record him. And I listened to him to a T.
Yeah.
And that's that time that I cut him. The first time, I had no proof. The only proof I had was a bump to the head, and he had nothing. That's what saved me. The second time, I had like the Netflix special on him. So that what saved me. But I'm like you, I have epilepsy. So sometimes my memory goes like somewhere else in Italy or, somewhere else. And that's what saved me. But we must, I tell my victims, I say my victims, I don't beat the crap out of them, but they're my victims. I say to them sometimes, you have an old phone. We all have old phones. We don't throw them away. Some sell them. You should never do that. What's
You should see
in
Ben's collection of old phones. Honestly, it's ridiculous.
I still have flip flap. Okay, I still have them because you use an old one, not a
Yeah.
flip flap, but like a S whatever or Apple whatever you have. And when something goes wrong, you charge it, you put a recorder and you hide it like at the top of your cupboard, and you let it go. If there's nothing on it, you just let it go, recharge it, and let it go. And I did that. So I filmed it. I taped the guy. Sorry, my French. I taped him, and I had recordings like so much. I gave a ton of recordings to the cops, and that's why I had nothing. Without that, you know what he did? He beat himself up. So they arrested me.
Liar.
Yeah, I have pictures of that. And they took pictures of my hands. I had nothing.
Yeah.
How can I beat him with nothing?
Yeah.
So right there, that it was a red flag. But all the recordings I've gave them was enough. You never know. You
No.
think you know people, but you don't know them at all.
Unfortunately, I don't have the luxury of being able to record people, but it would. So now I have to like fully remember things. So when Joe, you were talking about you help people with anxiety and things like that. Like obviously, like my job's quite an anxious job, so I'd be curious to like hear all your about. So memory under pressure is my biggest like thing that I would want to get from you guys and how you deal with all that kind of thing.
Well,
He gets enough pressure from me during revision.
I record. In my case, I'm the written version of those cases: rape, suicide, child abuse, everything. But it's written, so I have it all written, so I'm safe. Okay, but in that case, it wasn't written, so I recorded it. So, and I have a good lawyer who is my friend, and he gives me a good teaching, and he helps me. So I feel safe now. But before that, we all made mistakes, and as I said to Ben 1,000 times, I learned from my mistakes.
Absolutely.
And that's an important part of one's memory as well. If you don't remember the mistakes you've made, how can you learn?
Well, I know a lot. So thank you, Joe. Thank you, Joe, for your story, because it made me explain, what I went through, and Maddie as well. And it helps everybody. Thank you. Thank you.
And Maddie, in regards to what you said, I'm more than happy to chat to you whenever. So, it'll be good to connect and just to see where you are, what you need.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
See, this is what I wanted. People skill
getting to know
swapping
each
and
other.
sharing. Yeah. I mean, we're working within a kind of confined element. There's only so social that social media can be, right? And at the end of the day, we're all on the same team. So, Sai put something in the comments as well that might be good for us all to kind of unpack maybe a little bit. I think I can pop it on the screen for the recording. Yeah. My problem is I practice a lot, but I don't analyze what happened. I just keep practicing. It kind of connects back to the learning from mistakes element, separate, maybe analogous to, maybe it orbits. So maybe the best question that we can put to everyone is what's the difference between practicing and using the methods at play? We all have varying competencies with memory methods and varying reasons for using them at the moment, of which I will change it over time. Um, but what's the main difference that you guys have experienced between a practice session and using it? Is it just pressure?
That is a good thing. I actually got trapped for quite a while of I need more practice, I need more practice. And then it's just like, oh, something's shiny, and I forgot that practice. And then by the time you bring it up again, it's like, I've forgotten it, so I have to relearn it again.
Yeah.
But I realized a lot of the time is having it really, really like structured at the beginning, like for
Yeah.
just like the really mechanical, clunky side, and then actually try to do in real life, whether that's in a conversation or like live, when there's a tiny little bit of, when I say steak, I'm now feeling hungry. um, I feel like it's that moment where you go from like the super clunky to just making it more real. Slowly, it starts to ingrain, at least in for me. But I need to go through those stages. If I go full, if I throw myself in, sometimes it's like, nope, I'm out. This is too much for my system, and I don't want to do it again. It's got to be, as you said, it's like being on that edge, of like comfort.
Yeah. I mean, I agree, obviously, because you guys have heard me waffle on about it for God knows how long. Um, but I think that's where growth is, in that sweet spot. That it's a little sweet spot between discomfort and comfort. It is the running for 30 seconds longer if you choose to run. It's turning the ice bath down maybe another degree if that's what you choose to do. It's learning 10 words of French if yesterday you learned 8. It's those continual little steps that provides competency, and comfort probably is the better word, because at least in my experience, when you have a comfort with a method, you start to see the different places that it applies to in your life. If it is that there is, uh, I mean, the first method I always go into, because it's so kind of utilitarian, is the link system. And if it is that you go through, say, I don't know, a 50 item shopping list, awesome. That is, destruction of all kind of cognitive limits that you had previously. What if you continue the 50 item, and then the 100 item, and then the 10,000 item, you're still in shopping list territory. If it is that you push it towards uh, uh, um, standout points of a TED talk that you've listened to. They did this at the start, and then they spoke about this. You can link those together. I practiced with songs that I like, and I don't play professionally any instrument, so I kind of make up in my own head the standout elements of, like, where my fingers need to be on the fretboard, or which hole in the harmonica I'm blowing out of, or the kind of shape that my fingers look like when I'm trying to play the piano. All of these weird little standout items are so I can just focus on playing, or so I can just focus on whatever noise I'm trying to make out of whatever it is that I'm blowing into. Um,
I'm kind of wondering how
what?
many songs have you actually ruined for yourself, where it's just like, I don't remember the original lyrics now.
Well, I was sat down at the piano. When did I send that video, my love? Was it Monday?
Yeah, something like that.
No, I mean, it doesn't necessarily matter when it was. There you go. I chose to disregard that as important and just focus on the fact that I was playing, you know. And I sat down to have a look at Man Eater, specifically the version from the film No Hard Feelings, because it's a beautiful cover, and it's a real kind of emotional gear shift in the film, where Jennifer Lawrence's character kind of has that moment of, oh, I'm hurting this kid, and it's this real kind of nice moment. Um, so it's been in my head since that. So I don't necessarily ruin them for myself. I kind of have to get them out of here into the real world. Otherwise, it's just going to be a song that goes round and round in my head, and every now and again I'll be like, I come out and shut up, while just singing the same couple of words in my head until I play it, and
You get the earworms
gone.
out. It's just like
Oh, mate, it's terrible. But for me, that's the difference, of the whole between practice and using it. I'm actually using the link system to practice playing an instrument. It's like um, I'm not a guitarist, but I can play the guitar. In the same way that I say I can't sing, but I will sing. You know, those those kinds of differences, and yeah. So, Saeed, if you for me, the kind of solution, dare I be so arrogant as to suggest that there is one, to that is to find more elements that you can be uncomfortable with, because
But
that's the moment. Go on, my love.
I was going to say, how do you get away from? Because for me, memory practice is for necessity. Like I practice memorizing things because it serves a function to me.
Yeah.
So how do you get away from learning for necessity to like practice it, practicing what is it that you're practicing for? Can you practice without having a reason to practice? Does that make sense?
It's down to your overall purpose in using the methods. Like if you practice for fun, then fun is the maintenance. Fun is the purpose. Fun is the reason for the method. If you're practicing a memory technique for your job and your role, then the pressure part is the purpose. Which is why, like, when you got up the other morning, I was like, ACE inhibitors, talk to me, because this you
Yeah.
just open your eyes, and we were straight in there. That's the
Yeah.
disadvantage of living with somebody that's obsessed with memory methods. But it's an important question, because and I was talking to Alexandra about this as well. That there needs to be delineation between using the methods and just existing.
Hmm.
There needs to be those moments. It's like the difference between reading a fictional book and a non-fiction book. A non-fiction book, you might just, who gives a shit if you have to read a chapter a couple of times. The other way around, a fictional book, who gives a shit if you have to read a chapter a couple of times to get the whole affair? Great. Because those are the downtimes, those are the recovery moments. Using a memory method is a workout, regardless of how much you're able to cram in there. It is a higher order function of the
Hmm.
specific areas of the brain to take the kind of information with you. So, and it kind of raises to light the importance of knowing what you don't need to remember.
Yeah,
You know,
because I was just going to say the things that I spend the time to remember and put the time in because it's a necessity, and then once that necessity's gone or it's not so important, then I forget it. But then it should be still something that I should remember because I've taken the time to remember it in the first place. So I guess that's where practicing things would come into it because then I don't forget the old stuff. Like it's like old stuff,
yeah.
new stuff pushes out the old stuff.
Okay. My first problem with that, and you should know better. The G word isn't allowed here. The G word is not allowed.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, you should know better. Um, but all that is, it's down to how much it's used, because if
Yeah.
it's why I labor on about the empty mind palace stuff. If it is that you have a specific, very niche element for it, it might live in the palace for however long it lives in the palace. But if you don't use it enough to convert it to being something that you know, rather than something that you're just remembering, then it will fade. A memory technique, however good or inventive or specific or creative, is still just a memory method. And if you don't spend time with it, crossing the journey between short term and long term, like have you ever in your life, my love, when going to your mum's and gone, uh, uh, calf, right? Calf. It's just there. You
Yeah.
use the information enough that it could be years apart. The emotional significance holds that information. This is why memory methods are so important. Again, in my opinion, because they walk the boundary between effective use of emotion, allowing a much a much larger range of data to be held for a shorter period of time, so you can spend time using it. You know, it's like the music thing. I can learn the whole song and then just spend my moments messing it up and getting it wrong and getting frustrated. But the fact is, I don't have to go, I don't know this bit. I know this bit; it's there. I have to find where it goes, and you know
Muscle
when you're
memory.
when exactly, and there's many debates as to whether that's even a thing. But there is a definitive habitual part of all information that's learned, but we just take for
Mhm.
granted. We learn how to tie shoes, we learn how to cross the road, we learn how to drive, we learn how to talk. I'm not following a any kind of a system, as many people would probably tell you from how much I kind of talk shit most of the time. Um,
Well, it was
but
like when I was playing the other day, and I hadn't played for ages, and then the more I did it, the more bits came out. And it wasn't the fact that I was trying to remember it; it was just my fingers were just going along with it. And I was like, "Oh, okay, well that's how that bit goes." Like,
yeah,
that's not
yeah,
how I remembered it before.
yeah, yeah, yeah. There is a trade-off with memory work that, in my opinion, I've just seen as well. Saeed called you out in the messages, my love, when you were talking before. Stop with your negative talk about your memory. Naughty. Um, uh, but there is a trade-off that doesn't doesn't get nurtured a lot for practice. In that memory methods allow you to cram more stuff in there. Great. What do you do to recover? You know, I've just done a workout and remembered an entire book that I'm reading. Great. What do I do to recover? Like in parts of certain methods, they encourage breaks. So you get up and go and walk around, and you make a coffee, you go to the bathroom, you get some food, whatever. But in those moments, you can be using the information more effectively. Like and I can only speak from my own journey. I've got all of my Dutch words that I'm learning on little cards here, and I specifically have habits of, like, whether it's in between a call or in between an email or a video I'm exporting or whatever it is. There's 10 minutes or so I can go. I'll learn 2 or 3 words, and to stop them being 2 or 3 words that I have to go, well, it was this mnemonic that reminded me of this, that gets me to this, that gets me to this, or whatever it was. Uh, um, I'll message Bjorn. If some people know him here, some people don't. If you don't, doesn't matter. He's a Dutch guy, I know, so obviously he's fluent in Dutch, and so I'll try and talk about these 3 words that I've just learned and see how that goes. And he'll be like, "No, this was wrong. This was wrong. This tense or this change, or you spelt this wrong." Awesome. You know, so it's the using part that that kind of refines the memory methods into the elements that you don't know, which gives you a clearer purpose because you have a kind of built-in mechanism between the memory method and what it's being used for. It's there's no time spent mulling over the property, and then after that, after the use, you're in recovery. There's probably a less harsh use of English there in that particular situation, but that's kind of what I mean. You've done your workout, it's been used. Recover, go about your day. The information's in there now, so now you can use it. It was nice. There's a guy I know. I think you'll have met him, Alexandra. Sean Brifo or Brefo. I'm not sure how you pronounce his second name because I've never heard him say it. Uh,
Yeah, I know
he's
Sean.
Yes, is one of those guys that you can't sit next to without feeling some kind of second-hand joy. Like his expression on his face is just permanent, like 16-inch grin. It's awesome. But in his group that he has on Facebook, he was asking people about the last time somebody made notes on pen and paper as a way of kind of exploring how much tech is being used. And so I was like, the last time I made notes was during my forensic psychology degree. Excuse me, 2005, 2006. Excuse me, 2006. And he was like, "See, this is how long ago people have been using tech and these note taking apps and these little devices." I was like, "No, no, Sean, that was the last time I took notes." Oh, oh God! I'm like, because that habit is there. Whatever I'm learning, it is about using it. So like, I've had to learn how to use a CapCut editing app. I had no idea how it worked, so I watched tutorials, closed them down, and then went into using it. If I learn some words of French, like Julie is great at keeping me between vu and tu, because I always get them backwards because sometimes I'll learn a stock phrase like the one from earlier was s'il vous plaît, like that was the stock phrase that I heard, and she corrected me in terms of s'il te plaît. For how long we've known each other, and so now every opportunity I get, I will just say "seal to play," even if it's wrong, because I want to make sure that it's there, it's at the forefront, it's being used. You know, um, that was kind of about 65 points in one. I think that's the problem with me when I just start talking. I have a bunch of points that I want to make, and they all come out at the same time. God knows that these people who have to listen to my TED talk are going to be in trouble.
Man,
It's
you
going to
say
be
she
like
finished 2 hours ago.
a mate. Honestly, there was the lady that I spoke to when I went for my familiarization day. She was like, well, you seem really comfortable. I'm like, I basically talk for a living. Oh, great, great, great. And she was like, we have this, running order, and how much time are you going to need? I was like, it's probably better if you tell me how much time you want me to take up. And she was like, well, the longest we can run for is 18 minutes. I was like, ah, every session I've ever done has probably run over. Every session has probably run over for that kind of reason. I get so into whatever it is that I'm talking about, and if I have an idea that I either think could help or I think's important or for whatever reason, I'm like, it's coming out of my face. It's going to happen. You know,
You need someone
the,
coming from like the basically the audience with like a like a wooden ruler, like she's like, shut up now.
this lady said she was like, if you need me to, I'll stand at the back just like this when you've got like a 3-minute warning. I'm like, perfect, perfect, that'll do, that will do just nicely. But yeah, that's the fascinating thing for me with memory stuff, because it is so tied to our emotions, and then people go, I don't have a good memory. I'm like, okay, tell me
I
about
would
your
like to
last
throw
holiday.
some, I would like to throw
Yeah,
something
tell me.
out to the group. So this
Oh,
is
do it, do it, do
so
it, do it, do it.
if anyone is ever needing of a challenge, right? I'm probably going to need a few days, but if everyone, I mean, with you, Ben, I can imagine you learning an entire language in one day, which is actually possible. There's one language out there that exists. And do you want to guess how many words exist in this language?
I mean, I'm already frightened because you use the G word, but in a fun way.
Yes, I know.
It was in a fun way. I'll get the ball rolling on. Okay, so you're phrasing it like a day, 200 words. How's that?
Okay, so Ben's saying 200 words. How many you guys is saying? I want to hear if you want to type up as well. It's
Like
actually a working functional language, by the way. It is a functional language. Oh, sorry, Maddie, go for it.
like 50.
50. Okay. Functional language.
Say it's gone 50 as well.
50? Okay, 50. Any others? All right. So there is a language called Tokipona, which depending on but I feel like 10 if only 10 words could actually exist. There's actually a language out there called Tokipona, depending on which version you look at, 120 to 137 words for the entire language. So
Wow.
so I think you probably learned that in a day, plus its syntax as well.
Where is that? Where is that from?
So some I think she is a Canadian and she's got like an Asian background and she's just like, you know what? Oh, and she's a linguist and she's just like, you know what? I would like to have a language where I don't feel depressed. And so created an entire language where everything, well, nearly everything is aimed towards like positivity, purely simple, so it has like this Asian like elegance, simplicity to it. And it's like by speaking in it, apparently it actually helps some people's mental health because it's always assumed to be polite, it's always assumed to be positive, every single phrase. Well, nearly everyone.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Bloody hell.
So if you ever want a challenge, that's one challenge I set for you, Ben, at some point.
Well, to be fair, that is part of the rules is accept challenges where possible. So I return fire by saying that if you can find me the the resource for it, or because I don't know how it's spelt, or the lady in question, if you can find me that resource, I accept your challenge, good sir. I
Oh,
accept. I
he's into my challenge.
I accept. Because I'm one to put my money where my food normally is, at my mouth, um, and I'll give it a go because like that was my trade off of when I first started learning Mandarin. They were like, "Don't worry, there's no verb conjugation." Fantastic, great. Yeah, but tonally you're going to be in trouble. Oh, great, wonderful. So, if there are no tones involved with what was the word again? Run it by me once more.
I put it in the so it's Toki Pona and it's by a
Ukipana.
woman called Sonia something. I can't remember her last name. I'll send it to you,
Ukipana.
man.
Okay. So if you do that, I will make a video on me learning Tokipona, and maybe I haven't looked at my schedule, so I don't know. Like 137 things. Like if it was 137 item shopping list, about 10 minutes. But because it's a language and it requires speaking, I would say realistically
Actually, so he's just given it a
an hour.
super brief overview of it. Super brief. And so what happens, you can take the same word, use it as an adjective, use it as a verb, use it as a noun, depending on the words. And there's an entire sentence structure as well with it. So you can have a lot of fun with this.
Okay, I accept your challenge, good sir. I accept.
All right, all
Um,
right. I'll get
but
you. I'll get you some resources.
thank you, thank you. And it would be, yeah. It's been a long time since I've done a memory challenge. I think the last one that I did was the 48 hours awake, and then I memorized the story that's designed to put you to sleep. That was like one of it was on one of these apps where Matthew McConaughey speaks to you in his sultry Texan tone. I can't do the accent, but he kind of and it's designed to kind of help you nod off. There's the gentle breeze of rain in the background, and I stayed awake for 48 hours. I got my friend Liam on a Zoom call to basically watch me as I had like a blindfold on, and I got myself really warm to try and do that. And because Maddie will tell you, the second I get warm, I'm going sleepy if I've been awake for a while, and then just to see if I could remember the story. So, yeah, that'd be fun, and it's part of the rules that we set here. So challenge where appropriate. I shall learn your Toki Ponder, sir, and then maybe next week or the week after, because I don't know when my schedule will allow it. we'll have a Turkey Ponder check-in, and you can test me.
I think
Um,
one of my favorite challenges that you done, right, was I won't mention he, she, or who should not be named because you probably end up swearing. But when you got set the 100-digit challenge, and it wasn't a
yes.
hundred, was it 500 digits? That was brilliant.
Okay, so
You'd
the
have a go at him.
story.
It's just like, by the way, this is what a digit is. It's between 0 and 9. And he's like, he's a few
Right,
digits.
we're all grown-ups, so I don't think it would be offensive towards anyone to label this guy as a dick. Uh, in a fun way. Like I'm not having a go at him, but he's kind of been inspired by Adam posing me challenges over the years, so he was being a dick. But the kind of frame for the challenge was, most people after they get drunk say that when they're hungover they can't remember the night before. So I thought, okay, what's really challenging to remember? A 500-digit number. And so I drank a bottle of bourbon. It was an entire bottle of Red Stag. Not encouraging it, and I didn't really feel it all pleasant the day after, but I'd asked Craig to send me a 500-digit number. He did, but it was just that some of the digits were 3-digit numbers, or 2-digit numbers, or 4-digit numbers. So it was 500 numbers, which, if you isolate all of the digits involved, ended up being a 1,500-digit number. And so I did it, but I made 18 mistakes along the way during the recall. Um, but that was an unpleasant challenge. That was an unpleasant challenge. Um, but yeah, again, that's kind of my mantra about memory stuff as we wind it down to our time, is that the only way you are ever going to know how effective your memory is. Uh, I'm fond of not using terms good or bad because they don't really apply. Um, the only way you're ever going to know how effective it is by using it. That's really it. you know, um, whatever you're using it for, that's part of the fun. That's where you get into the techniques, and because there are some people that need to remember. Of course, you have a question, Julie. wouldn't be a session with you if there weren't one. If there wasn't one, oh God, that was colloquial English. That was terrible. Um, Come on, then, Julie. Let's do it.
Well, I must replace David, don't I?
That's true. David is the question king. He is.
Yes, so he's not here. Uh, since the session doesn't have any precise topic, I would like to know from all of you, uh, would there be a question that you all have that you would like to know that you probably never really practice properly? I know I have one, and it's interrogation techniques. I have it. Bob taught me. Okay. I have the read. I love read because it's kind of hard. And I'm a hard person. But the piece to me is like, oh, do you want a cup of tea, milk, sugar? I'm not that kind of person. But I know it's the best one. It's the
Right.
shorter one. I know that. But since you kind of all work in that field, is there interrogation techniques you would like to learn about? That's my own questions. But my question is really, is there questions you would like to learn in school that you don't know about?
Interesting. Interesting. Okay. Um, I will go first then before everyone else goes, um, because I love to talk. I started that sentence and I didn't really know where it was going, so I put in that line. Anyway, um, to the question, I've I've always found that whether it be with interrogation methods or conversational methods or whatever particular model that is designed to help a conversation move more productively. It's again, it's born better by me actually talking to people, and I don't really do that comfortably. I'm not a comfortable sociable person. It takes a lot of effort for me to do it. I'm much more comfortable sitting in a corner observing others, or reading, or doing something. I'm much more comfortable in that area. um but yeah, I've never found anything that I've yet to get to grips with. I've found challenges in making things my own, because personally, I'm a very direct individual, and I prefer that others be just as direct with me. That's what makes me comfortable.
Yeah.
Whereas that's not a trade-off that everyone else shares. So
Mm-hmm.
when I observe that other people maybe don't, I don't know what the right words are, they don't appreciate that kind of direction, it is reframing what I'm trying to say in a way that they will hear. That's been my challenge, with the area. But in terms of the things from school, um, God, like
My name is Julie.
I I don't think I found anything that I've kind of stumbled across. The first time I sat down to learn about physics, that was a challenge, because I was learning about physics from home, and understanding of physics requires experiments and practicals to really get to
Yes.
grips with. So I think that area, I have a lot of information in my head about physics, but the application is rubbish. Again, in terms of the forensic science stuff, when I first sat down to explore the different properties of cigarettes, trying to make sure the Sherlock Holmes thing was actually achievable, I had no idea where to start. Not a clue. And to this day, my knowledge of forensic science specifically is rudimentary at best. But part of my um, rationale around that is that I don't currently have a use for it. If my use for it were to change, I I fully believe that I could learn whatever I needed to, from wherever I needed to do it. And if you put me in a laboratory, I could find my way through, by virtue of the fact that I can remember, the ins and outs. But yeah, I think that's probably the best answer I can come up with to those questions. Great questions, love that.
But the reason I'm asking is because I have 3 courses in that, okay? Because, I didn't say what I was doing as a job. Some of you know, others don't. So I have to ask very sensitive questions sometimes. And I don't apply the courses I learned because they don't work. I'm supposed to sugarcoat everything, sometimes put white lies, and sometimes be on their side. And I don't oblige to that. So one day, with a great occasion, where a woman came to me and said, "It's for my friend." Right. I knew it wasn't. With 2 questions, it was impossible for her to answer that accurately, those questions. So I knew it was her. So I said she was a victim. So I just said to her, "Well, I'm going to talk to you because you're a friend, but I might be a bit rude with you. Don't worry, you're a friend, so it's not the same." I knew she was a victim. To this day, it's my greatest case of all times. I was so rude with her, and I discovered that day it was the way to go. Not to be soft and empathetic and sweet and sugar coated, and the kid, you know what I mean. And I never went back to the protocol they gave me. Never.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm asking. Okay.
Yeah.
I have friends who are psychologists. I have friends who are psychiatrists. I have friends who are doctors, lawyers, and they don't do, the sugar coating
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
They
It's
are like, probably like you said, like I am, they are straight to the point. They don't have time to lose to comfort her or him. They need the truth. So I
yeah.
go straight to the truth. And after
Yeah.
that, it works wonderfully. So
Yeah.
that's why I'm asking, is
Mm.
there techniques that maybe are new or that change with time? Because the read was a very kind of rude, but gave so much fake confession. I don't want that. And the piece is way too soft.
Mm.
So that's the reason of my question. And I
No, I
know
get it.
there's people in, psychiatry, therapists, and we have to ask questions very sensitive to people. And sometimes they're so broken, but it's when they're broken, you must go straight to the point. I do that like 60 hours a week.
Yeah.
I know what I'm talking about. So
There
that's the
is.
point of my question.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. And I'll throw my last two pennies before these guys jump in as well. There is a lot of situation and setting that you would need to consider, because it will depend upon your role there. You have a very specific role in that particular situation, and if there's somebody that has a different role that can take the time, that might need to be considered, because it's going to be very specific. The main thing that comes out of the learning side of it, from the memory method side of it, is I would argue it's a fact that specifically with behavioral elements, it is never going to be a one size fits all.
No.
It's never going to be do point one, point two, point three, point four. There's too many variables to consider. So meeting the person where they need to be met or where they want to be met, that's kind of the challenge that would revolve around the specific role in that moment. There are those that get it right, there are those that get it wrong. There is a time for uh, uh, assertiveness, and there is a time for delicacy, and there is a time for all of the grey area that exists in between those points. It just comes around your specific role. But guys, you by all means take it, and then I will unleash you, because I can now smell that Maddie is cooking up a storm. So it's going to be time for my feeding time soon.
Yeah, so
What?
I wanted to speak to what you were saying. So I think I really echo the things that you said, Ben. And in my experience, you say you're direct, but you're very British. I think there's a lot more directness in French people than in you. Again, that's my subjective experience.
Yeah.
C'est vrai. C'est très vrai.
So Julie agrees. So having said that, I really echo what you're saying about situation setting and also intent. What are you trying to achieve? So certainly in my field of work, I'm not trying to find the truth. It's not my job to find the truth. It's about appreciating everybody's perspective, and it's not about finding out whether somebody has lied. Most of the time, people lie to themselves. So how useful is it for me to confront them? Is it more useful to ask questions or to have a conversation with them so that they reach that conclusion? And there's a whole sort of, maybe that you feel that you've heard of family therapy, systemic therapy. That's the art of asking questions, basically. Reflective questions. And also there's an awareness that as therapists, we're also lying to ourselves. I'm not superior to anybody here. Yeah. It's we're all in this together.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah, we are.
and so the reflection also would include me. And I've worked with me as a therapist, me as a multidisciplinary team, so it's a very generic me. And also in my experience, I'm a child and adolescent psychiatrist, it's not the same thing to speak to a 5-year-old and to speak to a 15-year-old. So I have to adjust my communication completely. I have to change it. It's not the same thing if the family are in the room or if they're not. And then if I have somebody with autism, if I ask them big reflexive questions that are beautiful and by the book, they're going to get system overload, and they might just prefer a questionnaire where they use tick boxes and yes, no answers. So I think there's a lot of fluidity there, and it's about being very, very flexible and clear about your intent. So I remember I had a young person, it was very clear with his behavior that he was suicidal, but I had them in the room and he couldn't engage with the conversation. I gave him a questionnaire. He ticked, I feel like killing myself. Yes, yes, yes. So that's my experience.
Love that. Thanks, mate. That's
She's
really
right.
cool.
She's right. Where do you come from, Alexandra?
Many places, and nowhere.
Not but basically.
Basically everywhere. I'll answer that another time because I don't want to take up time and Ben is hungry.
I mean, Europe or America?
Both, I told you, everywhere.
Okay, that explains a lot because yes, she's right. French people, we are very direct to a point where sometimes we have few friends, but true friends. The rest of them hate us so much because why? We don't say what they want to hear. We say the truth. So, oh my God, it's hard for them. But she's totally right. I do agree 1000% with her. It's true.
Love it.
I feel like I've got a mixture of the two where I need to adapt the questions to who I'm speaking to, whether it's an old person, a young person, like somebody with mental health problems, a drunk person. But I also need to be direct to get the information that I need. So sometimes you can try and sugarcoat information and like try to break the bad news to somebody, but they're just not getting it at all. So you have to be blunt and you have to be direct. But then when you do that, it has they just take it and completely, like the emotions are so high that it just skyrockets. So it's interesting to hear you all talk about the way that you get information from people, because it's sort of, I feel like it's a combination of it all. Like I say with you, Alexandra, I had a bit of a very small background in counselling. I did a brief counselling course, so reflective questions and all that kind of thing is really helpful to show that you understand what they're saying. But if they don't understand what I'm saying, then I have to be quite blunt. So, yeah, it's tricky. It's really tricky to get it right.
And-
Not that much. If you ask when they go on a rant and they're mad and, they are sitting, in French, we say, on the ball of truth. They are like sitting beside God and they know the truth, and you are a piece of, you just ask questions and you let them talk. This will allow you to know how they think. Once you know that, you can adjust yourself to their way of thinking, okay? As I said to Ben a while ago, if they say a can fly, yes, he can. That moment, instead of being, you see my hand, like that, you're here. That moment you're here with them, everything goes so smoothly. And you can do everything you want with them. Even try, if they're in a mania or, schizophrenia, it's hard. But mostly, if they're not, if you get from there to there with them, speaking the same language, if they swear like shit, you do it.
Yeah.
If they are very polite, you do it. If they work that kind of language, you do it. And you will become like this with them, and it's going to be so almost beautiful. They will listen to you, understand you. You will understand them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's totally different.
I think I
I've
disagree.
been doing this for 20 years, so I know.
I think I disagree with you, Julie, but I don't know what your context is, but I have a bit of a vague idea of what the ambulance work is. But I guess if you get into a verbal escalation with someone because you use the same language or you raise your voice, you have a risk, certainly in emergency settings, of getting hurt yourself and with a mental health.
Oh, okay,
So
no, I work online.
yeah, so if it's online, you break rapport. But if I would imagine Maddie needs to get somebody to A&E who's acutely unwell and who has no insight into their issues, if she gets into a tiff with them, she can get hurt, and then that person doesn't get it. It's a bad outcome all around. You know?
Mm.
Yeah,
Oh
but
yeah, definitely. You got to match their energy to a certain degree, but if they start escalating, then I always just almost make the pause a bit uncomfortable before I start speaking, and just say, and then just be really quiet, just go, okay, shall we continue? Like it's almost, are you finished? Like, shall we continue on a smaller level? But my love, just to let you know, you have 12 minutes before dinner is ready.
okay. Oh,
Just
well,
a time check.
but the fact I'm online, I can't be attacked. Okay, I have a VPN. They don't. They have an app, they don't know where I am. So it helps a lot, really a lot. I'm not in the same office as they are. They don't see me. They don't know me. So it's a huge difference. And I only do violence, DCFS, suicide, rape. Well, nice cases, you know.
I mean, Joe, just before we wind down, there, my friend, any pearls to share? Any two pennies to throw in?
Okay, tempting me to start throwing shrapnel at you. No, yeah, it's a pleasure to get to know everyone. I am like aware of the time, and Ben, the message has been sent to you on our usual communication channel. So just one video. That's a starting point. So if you want to go beyond that, feel free. But great to. I'm looking forward to this.
Muchísimas gracias. So, to that end, right, the point I was kind of cack-handedly making is kind of a final, a Jerry Springer's final thoughts, if you will. That conversation there we just had. I mean, I suppose the whole thing as well, but in particularly that one is an example of naturally occurring informative elements that you can use a simple memory method to take all of the information from, because there's three different perspectives, Alexandra's, Julie's, and Maddie's, three different uses for these kind of conversational elements, let's call them, that you can take that away from and trial. You know, in terms of your, I'm not in terms of your practice of the information and your practice of the memory methods. I'm not encouraging you to go and get into a difficult conversation and see if you can use it. Don't do that. That's silly. But how naturally occurring lessons can happen, and having these memory methods there is a way for you to develop them and use them day in, day out. One of the things I'll tell you that I'll go away from after this, I'll start, okay, who spoke first? What did they speak about? That then led us to speaking about this, and who made this joke, and who smiled at this time, and who moved, or who got up, or who turned their camera off and on, or who commented here, or whatever it was. That's what I will try and do, so that next time I'm sitting in here and I can go, I'm not talking as much. This is awesome, you know, because that's the this memory method supporting using them in that way. So, guys, I love the fact that you've all been here, and even you, Saeed, the fact that you are here and you're only able to join in from messages, that you've joined in at all is awesome, mate. And thank you for doing it, good sir. Thank you for making this first Cerebral Social a fun one. And yes, it's going to be weekly. It's never going to be mandatory or anything close to that. And it's going to be chats like this, memory and critical thinking, and that kind of approach at its core Where it goes from there, who knows? So long as we'll keep to the hub and we'll use it in specifically different way. I mean, I never in my life would I have predicted I've got an eighth language to try and learn. But yeah, I'm gonna love you and leave you guys. I'll update everyone through the school on where this will be available. No, yeah, on where this will be available, and yeah, the courses and things they're coming, but I am but a one-man band tasked with doing many things in a finite amount of time during a day. But yeah, I'll see you all soon, guys. Thanks for coming. All right, take care. Bye
Bye.
bye.
Bye.